Hi everyone, and welcome to the New Zealand Migrant Challenges channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for all things related to settling in New Zealand as a newcomer. Now, I know what you're thinking. Lush green hills, friendly sheep, hobbits. It's all sunshine and Sauvignon Blanc, right? Well, hold your horses, my friend. Today we're talking about the reality of moving to New Zealand. The good, the bad, and the downright baffling. We'll be covering 5 common challenges immigrants face in New Zealand and, more importantly, how you can overcome them. Let's dive right in. Right, let's start with the elephant in the room, or should I say, the hobbit in the hole in the ground. Finding affordable housing in New Zealand, it's a bit like trying to find a parking spot in downtown Auckland on a Saturday afternoon. Nigh on impossible. The rental market, particularly in those big, shiny cities like Auckland and Wellington, can be more competitive than a rugby scrum. You've got people practically wrestling each other for a one-bedroom flat that costs more than a week in Fiji. But don't despair. There are ways to navigate this housing jungle. First things first, get yourself acquainted with the local rental websites like TradeMe and realestate.co.nz. It's a bit like online dating, but for houses. You swipe right on a charming bungalow, hope it doesn't ghost you, and pray your application stands out from the crowd. Now, if you're on a tight budget, and let's face it, who isn't these days, you might need to consider alternative options. Shared accommodation, my friend. Yes, it might mean living with a cast of characters more diverse than a Peter Jackson film, but hey, think of the stories you'll tell. Plus, it's a great way to meet people, save some money, and maybe even learn a new language, or at least a new way to say, whose turn is it to do the dishes? Another option is house sitting. It's a bit like being a professional plant waterer, but with the added bonus of a roof over your head. You get to live in different neighborhoods, maybe even try out a beachfront property, all while someone else worries about the mortgage. The key here is to be flexible, be open-minded, and maybe invest in a good pair of earplugs, just in case your new flatmate has a fondness for late-night didgeridoo practice. All right, you've found a place to live, you've unpacked your bags, now it's time to tackle the New Zealand job market. And let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. It's a bit like trying to explain the rules of cricket to an American, confusing, frustrating, and sometimes you just want to give up and go for a pint. One of the biggest hurdles for newcomers is the lack of local experience. It's the catch-22 of the century. You need a job to get experience, but you need experience to get a job. But don't worry, there are ways to break through this chicken and egg conundrum. First up, your CV. It's not just a piece of paper. It's your first impression. So ditch the generic template and tailor it to the New Zealand market. Use keywords, highlight transferable skills, and for goodness sake, use the correct spelling of realize. Next, it's all about networking. And I don't mean posting a selfie on LinkedIn with a new to NZ, looking for connections caption. Get out there and meet people face to face. Attend industry events, join expat groups, and don't be afraid to strike up a conversation with the person next to you in line for a flat white. You never know who you might meet. Another tip, be prepared to start from scratch. Yes, you might have been a high-flying executive back home, but in New Zealand, you might need to swallow your pride and take an entry-level role. Think of it as a way to gain that all-important local experience. Learn the ropes and prove yourself. And finally, don't give up. The job search can be tough, but persistence is key. Keep applying, keep networking, and keep your chin up. You'll find your place in the New Zealand workforce eventually. Now let's talk about healthcare. New Zealand has a pretty fantastic public healthcare system, especially compared to some other countries I could mention. But navigating it can be a bit like trying to understand a rugby match after one too many beers. First things first, you need to register with a local GP, your friendly neighborhood doctor. This is your first port of call for any health concerns, from a pesky cold to a sprained ankle from attempting to play rugby after one too many beers. It happens to the best of us. Now, if you're eligible, make sure you apply for a community services card. This little beauty will save you a pretty penny on doctor visits and prescriptions. Think of it as a discount card for your health. But here's the thing, the public system can have long wait times, especially for non-urgent procedures. So if you're in a hurry, you might want to consider private health insurance. It's an extra cost, but it can give you peace of mind and quicker access to specialists. And a little tip, don't be afraid to ask questions. Kiwis are generally a friendly bunch, and they're used to explaining things to us confused foreigners. So if you're not sure about something, just ask. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? Let's be honest, New Zealand is stunningly beautiful. But that beauty comes at a price, literally. The cost of living here can be a bit of a shock, especially if you're coming from a country with a lower cost of living. Think of it as the price you pay for living in paradise. Groceries, utilities, transportation, it all adds up faster than you can say Manuka honey. But don't worry, there are ways to stretch your hard-earned dollars further than a bungee jump cord. First up, become best friends with the budget-friendly supermarkets like Pack and Save and New World. They're like the Ryanair of groceries, no frills, but they get the job done. And while you're there, stock up on those 2-minute noodles. They'll be your saving grace on those nights when you can't afford to eat anything other than ramen. Next, ditch the car whenever you can. Public transport in the bigger cities is pretty decent, and walking or cycling is a great way to get some exercise and enjoy the scenery. Plus, it's good for the environment, and we all want to do our bit for those cute little Kiwis, right? And speaking of saving money, get yourself acquainted with online tools and apps that track your spending and help you create a budget. It's like having a personal finance guru in your pocket, only without the expensive hourly rate. Moving to a new country can be a lonely experience, like being the only one at a party who doesn't understand the punchline of the joke. But fear not, my friend, because building a social network in New Zealand is easier than you might think. Kiwis are a friendly bunch once you get past their initial shyness. Think of them as sheepdogs, a little wary at first, but loyal and protective once they warm up to you. So how do you go about making friends in this land of the long white cloud? Well, it's all about putting yourself out there. Join local clubs, hobby groups, or sports teams. Whether you're into rugby, knitting, or competitive ferret racing, yes, it's a thing here. There's bound to be a group of like-minded individuals just waiting to welcome you with open arms. Another great way to meet people is by attending community events. From farmers markets to music festivals to gumboot throwing competitions. Yes, that's another thing here. There's always something going on. And the best part? You'll meet people from all walks of life, including locals who can give you the inside scoop on the best fish and chip shop in town. And of course, don't underestimate the power of the internet. Social media platforms and online forums are great places to connect with other immigrants and locals alike. There are groups for everything these days, from expats looking for flatmates to people who share your love of craft beer or cat videos. So, there you have it. 5 common challenges immigrants face in New Zealand and how to overcome them. Remember, settling into a new country takes time, but with the right approach, you can thrive here. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tips and advice. Drop any questions you have in the comments below, and I'll be happy to help. Look, moving to a new country is a bit like trying to learn the haka after one too many glasses of Sauvignon Blanc. It's messy, it's chaotic, and you're bound to make a few mistakes along the way. But it's also an incredible adventure, full of new experiences, new friendships, and maybe even a newfound appreciation for sheep. And if you want to hear more about specific topics, let me know in the comments or on our social media pages.